Hi everyone, I'm Marianne, otherwise known as www.italianwifey on Instagram. Welcome to my kitchen. This is my first video for 2019, so Happy New Year everyone. Have you refocused? Are you re-energized? Are you restarting? If you've lost your focus over the holidays, this is a great time to restart your weight loss journey, or like I'm doing, maintaining my weight loss. So I'm just about to start dinner, and I thought I'd share a recipe with you that it's one of my husband's favorite. He's German, but he loves Italian food, and obviously Italian wifey likes Italian food. So I'm making chicken parmesan. Now my husband orders this at restaurants, and I plugged the Maggiano's chicken parmesan in my app because that restaurant is on our app, and I found out it was 38 smart points for an order of the chicken parmesan. I could do better, and I have done better. So I'm going to show you a way you can have chicken parmesan for 8 smart points per serving, and that's including 2 cheeses, olive oil, the pasta, and the gravy, or I'm making a quick pasta sauce, what I call gravy. That's an Italian thing, but it's a quick pasta sauce. So of course what you're going to need are chicken breasts. Now I take a shortcut by getting the thin sliced chicken breasts. I don't have to pound them that way, easy peasy. So I have 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, which I'm going to put into a plastic bag with a 1/4 cup of white flour to coat them, and some herbs like oregano and parsley and salt and pepper, and also 1/3 ounce of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm going to brown those in a skillet sprayed with Pam, and put in a little olive oil, a 1/2 teaspoon into the pan as well. And then I'm gonna start my quick sauce, which will go with the chicken parmesan and also over the pasta. Now let me mention the pasta I use. I'm using tonight the Cremette's 150 pasta. It's 150 calories, but it has 6 grams of protein and 13 grams of fiber. So that means 1 cup dry, which you know it expands when we boil pasta, 1 cup dry is 5 smart points. My chicken parmesan with the gravy, with the quick sauce, and also with the provolone cheese on top and the cheese in the coating, it will be 3 smart points. So you're gonna be able to have a nice dinner for 8 smart points: chicken and pasta and the gravy. So let's get started with the chicken, get that into the skillet the first thing. So I'm using some all-purpose flour, just a 1/4 cup, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. And I'll just measure that out and go ahead and put it in the bag. To the bag, I'm also going to add some ground pepper. I just go ahead and use the McCormick's grinder, and I'm just gonna grind some. I'm not gonna measure, just a pinch. And then I'm also going to add a pinch of kosher salt. That's gonna go into my bag as well. So there's the flour, the salt and pepper, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add 1/3 ounce, which I weighed on my WW scale. I'm gonna go ahead and put 1/3 ounce of finely grated Parmesan cheese in with the flour. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some herbs in the coating as well as in my gravy. So I'm going to start with a little oregano. You can measure this out. I eyeball it, so say a teaspoon of oregano. Oh, it smells so good. And a teaspoon of parsley would be good in this as well. Okay. So now I'm just gonna zip this up, shake that around to get everything incorporated, and then I'm gonna start coating my chicken. So 1 piece at a time, if I can lift it up. I'm gonna put it in the bag, get a little air in it, and shake it around. And then I'm going to put it back onto the plate, shaking off the excess flour. So you only get a little flour. Now, when I plugged in this recipe, I said 1/4 cup of flour, but I may only use 1/8 of a cup, so I might have to adjust the recipe. But for right now, we're gonna say 1/4 of a cup. Okay, so you're gonna continue to do that for all the chicken breasts before getting them into the skillet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and spray my skillet with some olive oil spray, and I'm going to spray it generously. And then turn the temperature on a medium heat. I like these ceramic pans. And then I'm going to measure out a 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil and add that into the pan as well. It's not very much, but I'm going to go ahead and drizzle it around to get some healthy fat and also to get a nice brown on my chicken breast. So I'm gonna let that sit and heat up before I add the chicken. Okay, now I can add my chicken, and I'm going to brown it on both sides before I take it out and put on the gravy and the provolone cheese on top and put it into the oven to bake it a little. So now I can start my pasta sauce or gravy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just using a skillet. I have a MyWW non-stick skillet, so all I need to do is put the ingredients in. I don't need to spray it with cooking spray or use olive oil. Now you can use olive oil if you want for the healthy fat, but I already used some when I was cooking the chicken. So I'm going to start with adding pomodorini tomatoes into my skillet. This is what pomodorinis look like. It's just cherry tomatoes, and they call them pomodorini. You can find these at any Italian specialty store. You can also find these in the Italian aisle at your grocery store. It's just whole cherry tomatoes with some tomato sauce. Now, I use these now instead of the Roma tomatoes that my grandmothers and my mom cooked with. I found out when I was in Amalfi in a cooking school that they use cherry tomatoes for their pizzas and sauces, so I kind of adapted that as well. In the summer, my husband grows cherry tomatoes for me, so I harvest them, and I also freeze them so I have them fresh on hand. But today I'm using the canned version. So you're gonna want 2 cans of pomodorini into your skillet with 3 cloves of garlic, but I'm letting Trader Joe's do the chopping for me, and this is easy peasy, a quick kitchen hack. Just go to the freezer section at Trader Joe's and buy your garlic in an ice cube tray. So 3 of these cubes are gonna go into my gravy, as well as fresh basil. So in the summer when I grow basil, I also harvest it and make ice cubes with basil, so I always have fresh basil on hand throughout the winter. So I'm gonna use 2 cubes of fresh basil. If you don't have fresh basil, you go ahead and use dried, because I am adding other dried herbs as well. So again, pomodorini and the garlic and basil, and then we're going to just add some salt and pepper to the gravy, as well as dried herbs of parsley and oregano. And again, if you don't have the fresh basil, just go ahead and put the dried basil in. This, I'm going to be using a tablespoon of the dried herbs into my gravy. So let me go ahead and put that together, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, my pasta sauce is bubbling, and some of the liquid would cook down a little with the boiling of it, and that's fine because I like a little thicker sauce. You can hear my chicken is sizzling. So let me check these. So can you see they're brown? That's what you want, or that's what I want, is a nice brown color on the side. I don't know if you can see that. So now that one side is brown, I'm browning the other, and I'm going to turn this down a tad. Okay. my sauce is going. And I'm going to add just a squirt of tomato paste in a tube. This will thicken it up a bit. Again, I'm going to write all this down, post it at the end of the end of the video, excuse me, so you can pause at the recipe, take a screenshot with your phone, or just write it down on paper so you have this recipe at your disposal. Okay, look at how the gravy looks already. It looks so good. Okay, that looks great. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that cook while this finishes cooking. And then I'm going to add the chicken and the sauce to a baking dish, throw on some ultra thin provolone on top of the chicken, cook that off, and then start my pasta. Okay, this looks great. You know what I decided to do, because I'm making this for my husband? I am going to go ahead and add in some crushed red pepper to give it a little kick, just a few, because my husband likes the heat. Aren't these jars great? I bought these at Menards and I put all my spices in these and I labeled them, and they're interlocking so they don't come falling out of the cabinet when I grab one. I love it. Love organization. Okay, I'll let that cook a little longer for the crushed red pepper to meld with everything else in this sauce. I went ahead and brought my baking dish and my chicken and gravy to my counter to assemble it, and I'll show you how to do that. In the meanwhile, I started a pot of boiling water on my stove, getting ready to cook the penne pasta. So let me show you how to assemble this into a baking dish. I'm going to spray my baking dish with a little ham, and then I'm going to get a spoon. Sorry about that. And I'm going to ladle some of the gravy onto the bottom, because most of the gravy or the quick pasta sauce, I want to go ahead and save it for the side of pasta. Now you can go ahead and use a canned pasta sauce. You can use Skinniest Dish 0-point crockpot marinara, which I have done also, which bring down the points. But I chose to make a quick sauce tonight. So there's many ways you can go ahead and do this. So I'm gonna go and take my chicken and just layer it in the baking dish. Now these slices are a little bit off. You can see this one here is much larger, so I'll probably give that one to my husband and have one of these smaller ones, and then he'll have lunch for the next day for work. So again, take some sauce and just place it on top of the chicken breasts, which are cooked. So what you're doing now is you're going to pop it in the oven just to heat it through. Okay, next is the Sargento ultra thin provolone cheese. Put right on top of each breast. These ultra thin, I can never get these apart, they're so thin. These ultra thin, they're like paper thin. Cheese slices from Sargento are great. I use them in my turkey wraps, sandwiches, lasagna, chicken parmesan, and they're only 1 smart point per slice. So look at, now each chicken breast gets covered with a slice of provolone, and it really gets covered. I can't even take these apart without tearing. Here we go, got that one. Whoops, almost. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle the tops of each breast with a little Parmesan just to make it pretty once it's baked. Now look at, the cheese is already melted. So It's not going to take long for this to heat through. You just want to make sure the cheese is melted to the chicken breast and all these flavors meld together. So I'll probably put it in the oven for maybe 15 minutes at 350. So that's done. I'm going to go ahead and start my pasta. So my water is boiling, and I'm going to go ahead and measure out 2 cups of the penne pasta. I'm using this great MyWW measuring vessel. There we go. I had 2 cups left. Perfect. So 2 cups will go in. All these are WW products. The skillet and this pan and this measuring vessel. I love this. It's great for batters, to mix batters and to pour pancakes. Just love it. So let me go ahead and stir my pasta so it doesn't stick. And that will come up to a boil again. And then I'll reduce it to cook. So remember, I'm going to split this with my husband. So 1 cup of this pasta will be 5 smart points. The gravy, the chicken with the cheese, will be 3 smart points, so this whole dinner will be 8, and I'll serve it with a side salad and just go in and count the dressing I will use. That got hot. And I might put some Parmesan crisps in my salad as well. So I'll let that cook, and then I'll show you how to assemble this on a plate. Before I assemble this, I need to drain the pasta, so I'm going to use my WW strainer. I love this because it's collapsible and I can store it in my cabinet very easily. I'm going to grab some mitts, turn off the heat, and go ahead and drain this quickly. And then I'm going to put it into this skillet. And then I will go ahead and let these 2, so you can see it, these 2 items come together, the penne pasta and the gravy, or my quick pasta sauce. Remember, you can do this with fresh cherry tomatoes. Just grab them out of produce, grab a couple cartons, and cook them down in a pan and add your spices for the freshest pasta sauce. Now look at this. This whole skillet is 2 cups. I'm eating half of it for 5. That's amazing. I love Cremette's 150 pasta. Okay, so I am ready to plate this. Chicken Parmesan looks wonderful. The cheese is all melty. I'm gonna go ahead and get my pasta. That has come together. And then all I have to do is put it on a plate. I'm gonna put some pasta, and I've got some basil that's hanging off. Okay, that's about half. I'll leave more for my husband. So that 1 cup of pasta grew into a plate full of yummy pasta. And then I'm gonna go ahead and, whoops, there we go, I'll just use the spoon. I'm gonna go ahead and take one of the smaller chicken breasts and put it right on top of the penne. 8 points. Look at that. How delicious does that look? So there you have it, chicken Parmesan for only 8 smart points. How about this? Look at, it's not a luncheon plate, it's a dinner plate. Look at the size of this, the portion. It's wonderful for 8 smart points. This has to fill you up. And it will, because you know what? The penne pasta is filled with fiber. The cremate's 150 pasta, 1 cup dry is only 5 smart points. Then my chicken Parmigiana with the quick pasta sauce, that is 3 smart points. The thin sliced chicken breast, let your butcher do the work. Why pound it? Let him do it. And then that has the coating of just a little bit of flour and Parmesan cheese and some herbs. And then the Sargento thin cut, ultra thin cut, provolone cheese on top, melted. It smells delicious. I can't wait to get into this pasta, yum. And my husband is gonna be a happy camper tonight. So happy cooking. I hope you enjoyed coming to my kitchen and learning a new Italian dish. Ciao.